Are you looking for a bit of a game changer in your hiking sleep system? Something that's ultralight, super warm, and designed with a bit of lightweight hiking in mind? Today, we're going to have a good old look at the KATABATIC Gear Alsek Quilt. A piece of gear that might just revolutionize how you sleep when you're out on the trail. Stay tuned to find out more and why this isn't just another quilt. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Mauser here, and great to have you here today. And today we're doing a bit of a gear review. And today's review, it's a critical part of your hiking system when you're heading out for a night or more. It is your sleep system, or a crucial part of your sleep system. Your insulating factor, and in this case, we're talking about the KATABATIC Alsek Quilt. Known for its warmth, its lightweight form factor, and a few unique features. Let's have a look at this bit of gear and see if it lives up to the reputation of the Trek Best Gear Award 2024. That's what got awarded, that's what KATABATIC is saying on the website. Let's have a look. Mouse is just still having a little sleep in over there. He looks pretty comfy right now. So yes, I've had the KATABATIC Gear Alsek Quilt for 3 years, and so far I have had it out on the trail for around 40 nights. And in that time we've been subjected to rain, to cold, to some pretty bad conditions, and it's held up really well. So in today's video, we're going to go through this quilt of mine that I've been using for the last 3 years. I'm going to go through its features, its benefits, and what I love about this quilt. So what really makes the KATABATIC Gear Alsek Quilt stand out? First off, the weight. Or should I say, the lack thereof. The KATABATIC Gear Quilt, for its warmth, is one of the lightest on the market. I think. Pretty sure it is anyway. It is, isn't it? And this lightweight form factor, am I saying that too much? Form factor, makes it a dream for people trying to lighten their loads when they're out hiking. Now mine, when I put it on my scales, weighs in at 655 grams, including the stuff sack and the little cords, the attachment system. That's about 1.4 pounds. But do not let that lightness fool you. I have found that this quilt really packs a punch in terms of warmth, thanks to its high quality downfill and the innovative baffle design. It always keeps me toasty in cold conditions. Now, first up, let's just have a quick discussion about a quilt style sleeping bag, which is what the KATABATIC team class this quilt as. The idea behind a quilt style sleeping bag is to eliminate the insulation from the bottom of a conventional style sleeping bag. But why, do you ask? Well, in order for down to be an effective insulator to keep you warm, it must have loft, so it must be nice and fluffy and have air in it in order to trap the warmth. Since the insulation, when you're lying on top of it, you're crushing the down, there's no loft, it is just crushed. Well, it's not insulating, is it? Because it can no longer trap that air. Therefore, that loft, that down underneath you, it's wasted. So the theory is, why do we even put it there? So we remove that insulation and the fabric out of the bottom of the bag, leaving a bit of a gap. And that gap there is where the base of the bag would normally be. It's a bit cool in here actually. Okay. And when you've got a quilt like this, it's very versatile sort of thing. I prefer it to a sleeping bag because when it's hot, I can just put it over the top of me like a doona. Easily opens up. When it's cold, I can wrap it around me. I can use the pad attachment system to help close it in and help stop any drafts getting in. And it's just a versatile piece of sleeping equipment. And it feels of a high quality as well. There is no doubt about it. When you feel this quilt, you can feel the quality in the down. It really feels quite thick, really like a thick pillow, that is. It's really nice. And well, what's giving it that good feeling? Let's talk about the materials and what this is actually made of. So the outer fabric, is that it? Fabric? That's a fabric, I guess. This outer bit, the green bit you can see here, that is made from something Pertex Quantum Eco Ripstop. And admittedly, I have trouble pronouncing KATABATIC. I always used to say KATABIC, but you know, I'm getting there. And KATABATIC say this is the best fabric you will find for a shell of an ultralight sleeping bag. And look, it's pretty good. It probably feels better, tougher than the one I've got on my Patagonia sleeping bag. It's a ripstop, so you can see that grid sort of pattern on there. And one thing I have noticed of this, it doesn't leak feathers at all, this thing, which is really good. On a lot of other sleeping bags, you'll get feathers popping through, or on my older ones anyway you do, when it's brand new. With this one, I've never noticed any feathers getting out of this, either on the outside or the inside, which is pretty amazing. This Pertex fabric It's light, it's soft, it's breathable, and they do actually say it's downproof, so that is why you don't get the feathers coming out. And this is called the eco version of this fabric, so it's made from recycled yarns. I'm not sure how they do that, how that process works, but that's what they say, so it's eco-friendly as well. Now the internal part, this black part, is made from Pertex Quantum taffeta. And again, they say this is the softest fabric you'll find for the liner of a sleeping bag. I mean, they're making some big calls here, but I've got to agree, this stuff, it feels fantastic. It's really so comfy burning this thing. I look forward to this at the end of a long day's walk, I really do. And this is like a silky sort of feeling about it. It's like, there's just nothing escaping that, no down is getting through that, and it's just a nice feeling fabric. In terms of the down that I've got in this, now the model I have is the long version with the 900 fill power down, which is their Extra Dry water resistant down, I think they call it. And they say on the website, this down has been treated to provide additional resistance to unwanted moisture. So it is meant to be better in damp conditions, and having spent a lot of time in the rain on trips in the last 3 years, when I've had this with me, I've found that moisture hasn't been an issue with it. It has occasionally, I've got into the tent wet and got this a little bit wet on the outside, but it's dried off quickly and hasn't stayed wet. Hasn't been an issue for me at all. And I certainly haven't had a problem with the lofting when I've been a bit damp, when it's raining outside. It keeps lofted well. It doesn't get crushed down or a bit soggy like some sleeping bags do. I have found it really good. Now, in terms of design features of the KATABATIC Alsek, the way they've manufactured it and designed it, well, when you read into it a bit, there's some pretty cool design features that I like about it and that I do notice. The first being the differential cut. So what that means is this shell fabric, the green fabric on the outside, is cut a bit wider than the internal liner fabric. And what that does, that makes the shell, the circumference of it, bigger than that of the internal liner. And that means that when you draw the bag in on a cold night, when you wrap it in around yourself and you're really getting warm, that you are less likely to crush the insulation, and therefore you're not creating potential cold spots by crushing the insulation. Some bags which don't have this feature, when you tighten it in, you can sort of stretch the down in a bit like that, and it creates a thinner spot on the bag, and it can result in cold spots because you don't have the insulation there, or it's not lofted enough. The other thing that these guys do is they've got a continuous baffle. So you'll see there that each of these baffles running across is continuous. There's no dividers between the baffle. And what this allows you to do is to move the down across these baffles back and forth to where you need it. So if it's, it's a bit of a warm night, you can just brush that off to the side. If you still want this on top of you, you can create a cooler spot by getting rid of the down there, or you can push it back into there if you want it a bit warmer. It allows you to sort of, like you would do with a doona, a feathery doona at home, you can sort of adjust where you want the down to be. And that's good on those colder nights when you've got this attached to your sleeping pad. You can move the down to the top and it won't move because this is attached to your pad and you're underneath it. So you can roll around in there and the down will stay on top. So that's nice as well, as opposed to rolling around in a sleeping bag where the down would be moving with you as you roll around. And the other thing they've got is the Trapezoidal footbox, trapezoidal, something like that. So the footbox area is quite big. Basically, it's like a what's a trapezoid? Hang on, start ChatGPT what a trapezoid is. Trapezoid is a four-sided figure in geometry that has at least one pair of parallel sides. There you go. This thing is still telling me what a trapezoid is. It's going forever. But yeah, I like that footbox. It means when I'm sitting in the tent with my feet in there, it's just nice and comfy, plenty of room. Doesn't feel restrictive at all. You've just got so much room there with the feet. Beautiful. It's still writing about what trapezoids are. Give me formulas and all sorts of stuff. Crazy. Sorry. And the other thing they do with that footbox is the footbox baffles are overstuffed, so they've got more down in them, and they're a lot warmer. Yeah, I don't have to wear socks when I sleep in this, even on a freezing cold night. I don't need socks in this thing just because it gets too warm. And the other feature that I really like is the down collar at the top, at the hem, I guess you call it. This bit here. So that is your down collar, and when you have this really dialed in, you can use these buttons on the back here to bring it right in around the neck, like so. So I can bring this right in and just look at that warmth there. And that's how I would be on a cold night. Like this, with this attached to my pad, it's just an absolute delight. And I can move around in here still, but the down doesn't move, it stays on top of me, really good. And that down collar is just keeping any draft out. There's nothing getting in here because of the down collar. It's quite thick around my neck. In terms of how does it attach to your sleeping pad, well, to give you an idea, and we'll put some footage on the screen, that is your stuff sack right there. And you have these two yellow cords that come with the pad, with the quilt, sorry. They come with the quilt. They go around your sleep pad, and then you just tighten them in a bit, get them in the right position. It's a very quick process. And then your quilt, using the patented attachment system here, which is the way I prefer to put it on, that will lock in. You can attach that to the string and pull that right in. So once you attach that to the strings on the pad, you can then adjust the position of where the quilt is lying on top of you, and you can really sort of dial it in. And I have not had any trouble with drafts when I'm using this correctly. It does take a little bit of getting used to. That's probably the hardest thing in switching from a sleeping bag to a pad, is getting used to this attachment system, and the fact that when you want to get out of it, it's sort of best to undo it from the attachments when you want to get out of the quilt. If you've got it dialed right in, that's probably the only criticism I have. That can be a bit cumbersome sometimes, not like a sleeping bag where you just push it off you. You've got to undo these or sort of slide out of it a bit, but it's really not an issue. The other thing that you can do also is use these attachments here, and I use them when I just want it loosely sitting on top of me, when I don't really need to dial it right in and get it nice and tight. On those warmer nights, I will generally just have it there, and it sits a lot looser on top of me then. In addition to the attachment system, if you're really worried about drafts, well, it's got clips on the back as well at that gap, and that they really bring it in quite nice and tight. It comes with three. There's one that is attached permanently, that one there on the bottom, and then you've got two more which you can thread through up the top here in these loops, and you can have that actually almost like a sleeping bag. When it's really dialed in, you can have it sort of almost at that level where it's basically joined. So there really is no way drafts are going to get in there, because you're lying on top of this bit on your pad. And certainly when I first started using this thing, I had some reservations. I was worried I was going to get cold, but I have not been cold in this quilt a single night, not at all. And what I do when I'm out on the track, if it is going to be a colder night with this thing, the most I have worn with this is my thermals. I've worn the tops and bottoms on a few occasions at night time, but that is the extent of that. I've had sleeping bags where I've worn a lot more, sleeping bags that are rated colder where I've worn more than what I wear in this one, just to give you an idea. And probably the coldest I have had this, I would say, would be at about -3 or 4 degrees. It's rated to about -5 degrees, 20 degrees Fahrenheit, I think. And I've had it down to about -3, -4, and certainly haven't been cold on those nights. And some people, look, they miss the down hood, like you'd have on a sleeping bag. You can purchase an additional down little helmet thing for this that you can put on. I mean, it looks ridiculous, but that was another sort of reservation I had in switching, that I wouldn't have the hoodie anymore like I do on my sleeping bag. But I have not missed that, to be honest. I just wear a beanie with this thing if it's a cold night, and that beanie ends up falling off anyway, and I don't really notice it anyway. With my sleeping bags, it would be very rare for me to use the hood anyway, so I haven't missed that. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention was these edges here. They're kind of elasticated, so they've got a bit of stretch in them, which is nice. So just wanted to point that out as well. How expensive is a KATABATIC Gear Alsek Quilt? It's a mouthful. Well, when I look at the KATABATIC website, where I purchased mine from, one like mine in the 6'6", 900 FP Expedite Goose Down, currently $449 US. If I look at a similar like my equivalent sort of sleeping bag that I have, I've got a Western Mountaineering ultralight mummy sleeping bag. That comes in around $600 to $635 US. So I'm actually surprised. I suppose the quilt makes sense that it is cheaper, but neither of them are cheap. But for a quilt that is expensive, $449 US, it's a lot of money to part with for a quilt. And well, is it worth it? Well, I think for the quality of the product, I'm happy to pay extra for a good quality product, and I'm certainly happy with the quality of this product. All those features I've talked about, just the quality, you can feel the quality in this when you touch it. It's certainly well worth that price tag. And the main reason I bought this was to save on weight in my pack. I was trying to get my sleep system as light as possible, but still maintaining a very nice, comfortable sleep system, and that has helped me achieve that. And the question I have had from a lot of viewers and a lot of people I talk to is, would you switch to a quilt? Or how did you find switching to a quilt? And yep, like I said, I found it a bit of a battle to start with. Once I made the move and I took it out in that first trip, all my reservations were gone. I was really happy with it, but I do think some people may not like it. If you want the full enclosure of a sleeping bag and you like having a hood sort of dialed right in around your head, then maybe this isn't for you, but I love it. I love the weight saving that I get from it. I can still be nice and warm and comfortable when I'm out in these Tasmanian cold conditions. I wouldn't be taking this one in winter. I would take it from sort of November through to sort of April here in Tasmania in Australia. That's when it's starting to get colder. Then I would move back to my warmer sleeping bag, I reckon, in the winter months. I haven't looked at a warmer quilt, something I could look at, I guess. And having used this brand so far, I would probably go to something like the KATABATIC Saywatch quilt, which is a 15-degree Fahrenheit quilt, and that would probably be a warm one. The other system I have looked at extensively is another brand called Zenbivy. Not really big here in Australia, but it's taking off in the United States. I would really like to try their gear out, so I may look at investing in one of them at some stage. They've got a whole quilt system happening with the sleeping pad and everything. I really like the look of them. I will hopefully get one of them at one stage and check them out. But for the time being, KATABATIC all the way. It's an awesome quilt. I love it, and I can't see myself going back to a sleeping bag anytime soon apart from those winter months. So there you have it. That's my quick and dirty review of the KATABATIC Alsek Quilt. So if you're serious about cutting down the weight of your pack without sacrificing comfort or warmth, then this thing, it's definitely worth a closer look for you. It's an investment in sleep quality. It's an investment in lightweight packing and an overall more enjoyable hiking experience, I think. If you're liking the quilt sort of talk discussion, then check out this video where I go into my other bits of my sleep system. In the meantime, get out the track, go for a walk, and I will see you on the next one.